So what happened when Hawkman and Hawkwoman bumped into each other?
I don't know.
It was awkward. The greatest DC comic show on YouTube has found its way to you, and we're so happy for that. Welcome to this week's Fanboys Live and the Retro Review. I'm Ryan Magic Lasso, part of Team Awesome, and joining me on Team Awesome is Signature King Tony. How are you?
I'm doing good. Doing
Good.
great.
How was your week? Did you do anything fun? Did you go to a comic store? Did you partake in anything comic bookish?
Not a whole lot of comic book stuff, other than just some general organizing in my area. But my youngest daughter had a Christmas pageant for school today, so that was the highlight of the week. So
Was she the littlest angel?
no, she had to
Okay.
sing a song and shake a stick with some ribbons on it. She had no clue what was going on. Just like the shake the stick.
Yeah. Okay.
But she had a good time, so it was fun.
That's what counts. So, if you're watching on the rewind, we welcome you to today's show. We'll have a lot of fun. We're going to be doing an All-Star Squadron review. We'll talk more about that in a little bit. Joining us in the live chat, first one in, is our friend Joe Anachronic Comics. How are you doing, Joe? Hope you're doing well. Thanks for being numero uno in the live chat with us today.
I
For a little bit. Me too.
I have a PhD from his college, from his university.
That's right, because you knew some trivia.
I knew some trivia.
Yeah, and
Also good cause.
I'll also tease tonight, Signature King, that my book show was picked 100% for you.
I'm curious now. I got to see this.
Yes, so 100% tonight. What I chose for book show was for you, and the college is coming back next year.
Nice. I wonder if anyone has two PhDs, a double doctorate.
Yeah, that'd be interesting to know.
Yeah, we got to get you on there so you can get your PhD in Wonder Woman.
What if I'm dumb?
PhD in Themyscira Studies.
What if I'm dumb? What if I'm DUM? What if I'm DUM?
Listen, if there's anyone who could do Wonder Woman stuff in our community, hands down, it's you.
What if I thrive under pressure? What if I don't do well? What if I choke?
Well, you do live in close to Minnesota. We're pretty used to choking. So that's possible.
Hey, Ruben Guzman's here with us. Muabunga to White Tiger. Cool, calm, collected. Great to have you here. Yeah. So, before we start into comic book news, everyone's nervous. Yeah, I understand that. I just wanted to take a brief moment. I don't mean to change the temperature of the show in any way or any means, but I want to extend, on behalf of all of the Fanboys crew, our condolences to the loss of Jennifer, Comics Will Break Your Heart, who passed away earlier this week. And just our thoughts are with her family and her friends and her other friends here in the comic book community too. So
yeah, I never had the pleasure to chat with her, but she seemed like a very positive individual. And
yeah, I would find her pretty frequently in the Omni X-Men chat. So that's where.
Oh, okay.
And some other places too, but usually there. So that was always nice to get and we'd talk a little bit back and forth too. So
yeah, seemed like a nice young lady.
Yeah. So moving on to the DC Comics news, what's going on?
I'd say probably one of the bigger news is the Dollar Tree is now taking DC Comics, or selling DC Comics, I should say.
Yeah, Dollar Tree is. Can you tilt your mic a little bit more, because you're coming in and out with your mic? So thank you.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. I haven't seen these, but then again, I don't ever go to Dollar Tree, so.
I went specifically looking for them. We have 2 Dollar Trees here in town, and neither one had them yet. But I think they just started showing up, so it could be that they're not all out there. It's my understanding that these are printings of New 52 #1 issues that were created specifically for Dollar Tree, so the advertisements inside are a little bit different as well.
Yeah, and there's some DC Rebirth in there.
Oh, is it maybe that's what I meant instead of New 52. I think I
Oh,
meant
you're right.
Rebirth.
There's New 52. You're
Oh,
right.
there is New 52 in there. Okay, New 52 and Rebirth are in there. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's a
Lots
lot of
stuff.
titles.
Yeah. I like the display these come in.
You do have a display
really
box.
do.
You give them $1.25 for the display box too. And that's what these books are going to cost, $1.25. And I think they're polybagged.
They
for
are
protection. Yeah.
Yeah. I might pick some up. Just because I think it's cool they're selling comics. I want to be supportive. That, and I could probably get a couple of them signed.
Sure.
It would be interesting.
Well, I'll definitely want to get the Wonder Woman ones because it's another printing of whatever specific issue. It goes to it scratches my completus itch.
Yeah. There are 38 titles, all number ones between New 52 and DC Rebirth, with a sprinkle of animated Batman adventures. I see some Looney Tunes in there, some Looney Tunes crossover, Batman Scooby Doo's. But there's a list on Bleeding Cool of all the number ones. There's definitely some Wonder Woman ones in there too.
Yeah, and there's some Harley ones in there too.
And I see there's a couple of new ones. A Green Lantern War Journal #1 with John Stewart. That's a more recent one.
Mm-hmm.
From Dawn of
DC.
DC ones in there. Yeah, very cool. Very cool. Definitely get down to your Dollar General, check them out. That's for sure. I'm curious to see, where they're going to be. Quite a few complete New 52 series. Yeah, I like New 52. Everyone complained about it. I liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the bigger news. The next one is Creature Commandos came out.
Yeah, I did. I wanted to talk about that.
Yeah, did you catch it?
I did.
You did? Okay.
I watched both.
So your non-spoiler review of the 2 episodes, if you had to give it a number between 1 and 10, with 10 being the highest.
I'll go in and saying that I wasn't all that excited for this.
Neither was I.
And I thought, I'll probably watch it eventually, maybe, And I watched it. It was so good. It just blew my mind. I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. It is not meant for children, though.
Yeah. This is definitely not a children's cartoon, that's for sure.
Yeah. Hello to Kenneth Bird. Hi, Kenneth Bird. Kenneth just had his birthday recently.
Hey, happy birthday.
And in honor of your recent birthday, Signature King will now sing happy birthday to you.
I was not prepared, so I don't know the lyrics, so sorry.
Okay, but we tried.
Yeah. Yeah, you gave it a 9 out of 10. 9 out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna give it an 8.5.
Okay.
I do see there's a lot of potential for it. I'm excited for the Frankenstein and Bride storyline. I think that'd be cool.
Yeah.
What did you think of the potential villain? I don't know if that's been announced. Well, she was announced.
It was announced. We talked about it on Fanboys. So it's a Wonder Woman villain. So it was good. Her name was pronounced not the way I'm used to it being pronounced.
Well, did you notice each character pronounced it differently?
Yeah. So, but even beyond that, sure, there was a couple Wonder Woman references. And I'm not all that familiar with Creature Commandos. I was with some of the characters like Dr. Phosphorus. I was. And I always liked him. But this was really good. And I'm just excited to see where they're going to go. Do we know how many episodes it's going to be?
I'm not sure.
Okay. If you're wondering too of how much time you're investing, each episode's about 21 minutes or so.
Which I was surprised at.
It goes by, but it held my attention so much that it just flew by.
Yeah. Well, maybe that's the strategies. A lot of episodes, but they're a lot shorter.
Yeah. So
we get a little bit more meat.
I think James Gunn made a great introduction into his DCEU with this.
Yeah. Although a lot of confusing parts of it, like this isn't supposed to be, the Snyderverse, but they even talked about things that happened in the Snyderverse.
They did.
So I'm still confused about where the timeline is.
Mhm.
What's canon moving forward and what has to be retcon. So not sure. So we'll see. I believe there are only 7 episodes. Only gave us 2 right away.
Okay. So, yeah, I really enjoyed it. So
Very cool. Yeah, it sounds like a lot of people are pleasantly surprised. Even Rotten Tomatoes gave it some good scores. So,
yeah, I saw that it did very well there.
But then again, Rotten Tomatoes has a bad habit of giving things high scores that don't necessarily deserve it. But I think in this case, I think the audience and the critics are singing the same song.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's it for Creature Commandos.
I saw that. Why? Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say that Wednesday's Comics is getting itself a hardcover trade reprint in 2025. So it's going to be 11 by 17 hardcover size that collects the entire award-winning anthology series. This was supposed to be like reinvented classic weekly newspaper comic sections. And there's stories with Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, Flash. Then you have even people, like Metamorpho and the Metal Men. And there's multiple styles of artwork that are included in there. Commandy's another one that's included. And this is all going to get collected together. Wednesday Comics issue 1 through 12 in a hardcover. Right now, it is looking at a August 26th, 2025 release date.
Yeah, very interesting.
Hey, Christina, how you doing? Thanks for stopping by.
Hello. I don't recognize that one. Is that a new?
Oh, Christina's award-winning moderator. I've got to get her mod status here on my side, and I'll try to do that during the stream because she's awesome about dropping links for everyone and just supporting the community.
Great to have you, Christina.
Thanks for stopping by.
Maybe we have, and I'm just drawing a blank, but that's probably my fault. One other quick thing they did here is they moved up the Supergirl release.
Okay.
From July of 2026 to June of 2026. Not even a whole full 30 days. We're talking about just a couple of weeks. So that's pretty cool. So we'll get Superman and then Supergirl the next year. And then the Batman Part 2 in October of 2026. So we're only getting one movie next year. One DC movie.
Yeah, and we're supposed to be getting a trailer for it, if rumors are correct, sometime before this year is over with. You don't think so?
I mean, if we do, honestly, the movie's so far away. Like, who cares? It's July of 2025. Let's wait till at least March or April, in my opinion. Like, get me excited for it. Don't give me a trailer for a trailer. I don't want that. I'd rather just wait.
Okay.
That's my opinion. Yeah, last but not least, I know we were talking backstage here. So here on the Fanboys, we never, ever get political because it's such a sensitive subject. But I got to call out a lot of comic book creators and artists here for deciding that because they were not happy with the election results, they are skipping conventions and canceling appearances that they've already booked at states that voted the way they didn't want to. And that doesn't necessarily hurt them, but it hurts us, especially as fans. There was 3 or 4 people I was very much looking forward to that were going to be really local to me for the first time ever. Canceled their appearance, announced it, some today, some yesterday. That sucks. Because it only hurts the fans. It really does. And hurts the small convention. It might be a small convention and they might be a headliner. I know mine they were going to be the big draw. And now they've canceled because they disagree with the way a state voted. And I think no matter what side of the spectrum you fall on, I think we can all agree it only hurts the fans.
Absolutely. And
the president isn't going to resign because someone isn't going to be going to a convention.
Yeah. I agree with you. I mean, don't take it out on the fans. And you don't know, I mean, just because that fan lives in a state that didn't go the way that they wanted the election to, you don't know if that fan voted for the way you as the creator wanted it to or not. Don't take it out on them. It's not their fault.
Yeah, yeah. Why do we have to get political with our appearances? Like, can't we all just set it aside and just talk comic books?
Mm-hmm.
It's yeah, it was. I'm kind of disappointed. It's one of my favorite people. I'm not going to name names. I don't want to. But I mean, if you figure it out, you figure it out. But yeah, I was really looking forward to them coming. I have a stack of books. I've met them plenty of times. Just disappointed, really. I'll be able to see them again and another convention in 2025, but they're hurting the small convention that I really enjoy. That's local to me, so just disappointed. That's all.
Meow. Meow. To the Jackson Roy Kirk.
Jackson Roy Kirk.
Yeah, he's meowing.
Yeah, that's all I gotta say. Yeah,
this is not the first time that has happened, too. And don't take it out on the fans. It's not their fault.
Yeah, and it's not fun. The world, it's chaotic right now. It's nice to disconnect from the news and just go to comic book conventions and just talk shop with these people. I know I really enjoy it. Shame. What can you do?
Yeah, it is.
Just move on.
Yep. Anything else news-wise going on?
That's really it. Creature Commandos was one of the hot ones. So if you haven't, I highly recommend it. I know Lasso's looking forward to more episodes.
I am. It's good. Like I said, I would not watch it with children.
No. That part made me laugh.
There was that part in 2 episodes.
Yeah. But I think it was in the second episode. We're all standing outside the door.
Oh yeah, that was the second episode. Yeah.
Dr. Phosphorus was out there, guarding the door.
Yeah.
that part made me chuckle.
Yeah.
But yeah, nothing else for news.
Okay. Then we will segue over into our Fanboys Live and the retro review tonight. It was my pick, and it's one that I've wanted to do for quite some time. All-Star Squadron. And, this is All-Star Squadron. You might say, well, isn't it just the Justice Society? Well, we kind of explain in our retro review tonight the difference of the All-Star Squadron and the Justice Society. Hey, Tony, hope you're doing well. Hope you had a good weekend, too. That's kind of what we're going to do tonight. And their first appearance was in the early 1980s, although the stories take place in the 1940s. And it was a preview in a Justice League of America comic book, issue 193. So we're going to start with the preview, and then we'll go into the first issue of their own title that it's spun off into. One thing I'll say about this Justice League comic book, even the JLA story, which we're not reviewing tonight, was really good in that issue too. So for me, it kind of was a 2-for-1 in what we're getting to do. 2-for-1 in terms of buying that comic book, because I love the Justice League story, and then here's the All-Star Squadron that interests me as well. Here's the cover of that Justice League book. So you might remember, like, DC Comics Presents 26, the little preview is what you get. So if you want to go down at the end, Tony, I'll kick off our review tonight. It has a little mock cover, which has some great Rich Buckler artwork, which has my favorite character front and center.
Yeah, it looks like a nice story.
Yeah, it's a good story about Red Tornado. But there we go. Look at that mock cover. Isn't that awesome?
Wow, that is nice.
Yeah. So I'll get us started in the retro review tonight. And throughout the story, they keep giving us an update of what's going on time-wise. And when I mean time-wise, I'm talking like the time on the clock. But they're not giving us a date, at least not in the beginning. So right now, it's just past 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time when the story starts. And it's 1941. And you hear someone say, "It's time, Harry." And they're saying, these people are kind of in the shadows. I'm like, "Are you certain, sir, perhaps?" And they're like, "No, old friend, but we've already waited as long as we dare, perhaps too long. But why don't they answer?" So someone's trying to call the Justice Society, and nobody is answering. But out in Southern California at the same time, it's only 7 o'clock, and the sky is starting to darken a little bit. But there is this charity race that's going on there. We have some of the press in attendance as well. And when the race of the century for the March of Dimes, the shot goes off, Green Lantern, Flash, and Wonder Woman go running. Wonder Woman off to an early lead. Green Lantern coming in last. And the cameraman says, I think I know somebody who would give them a run for their money, which is alluded to a little bit later on in Tony's story, actually, although we never see this character. And the winner, though not exactly by a nose, is Wonder Woman. And I'm going to jump back later on and talk about the significance of this race in terms of comic book history. But Wonder Woman says that she feels strange about this, boys, even though we're only racing for charity. After all, everyone knows the Flash is the fastest man alive. She says, you didn't hang back and let me win, did you? And he says, you can ask me that when you're not even winded? He's like, all I did was underestimate you for the first half a second, and that was my mistake. And Green Lantern's like, well, I never even had a shot. So everyone's cheering them on. They got a big trophy, and a couple pictures are being taken, but they decide that it would be nice to go somewhere, and the three of them, who apparently haven't spent much time together, they can talk. So Wonder Woman has her invisible plane come down. She crawls up on the ladder on that while Green Lantern takes Flash away. And they head over to LA's Echo Park. And they're just kind of sitting around, almost like a little bit of a picnic. And they're catching up, and Green Lantern's like, so you really left a virtual paradise to come to the U.S. in these troubled times? And she's like, well, yeah, it's because, and they're like, oh, let me guess, a man, right? And she's like, well, yeah, his name's Steve Trevor. And how did you know this, And then there's this very interesting panel that I'm excited to highlight, because I don't know exactly what the innuendo is supposed to be. Well, I do, but it just seems odd to me. She says, I hope that doesn't make you two change your minds about spending the evening with me. I haven't found anyone else here I can talk to about being different. Then Green Lantern says, Flash and I have our ladies of our own, princess, so we're all just friends, okay? So I'm not sure if they think that she wants to stir the spaghetti sauce or what's going on. But all of a sudden someone yells, no, not friends. And they look up, and this person says, never friends with Green Lantern. And they see this thing has risen out of the lake. And they say, well, GL, do you know him? And he's like, no, I've never seen this thing before. And it's Solomon Grundy. And he says, you lie. I fought you costume ones before. How could you not forget Solomon Grundy? And they're like, well, I don't know what you're talking about. He takes out a big palm tree and declares that Green Lantern's going to die. And, of course, the Earth 2 Green Lantern, his weakness is wood. So that has no effect on his ring. And Wonder Woman uses her lasso to try to tie him by his feet. And the lasso does not even compel him to do anything. And he decks her and knocks her out. And the other two boys go in. They say the cavalry's on the way. Grundy grabs Green Lantern, throws him into Flash, kind of knocks all three of them out. So now we cut back to those shadowing figures again over on the East Coast. There's no answer. Time's running out fast. And someone says, hey, what about that new league, the Law Legionnaires, which are also known as the Seven Soldiers of Victory? They're like, I know that they don't have the sheer muscle of the Justice Society, but maybe we could reach out to them. And they say, but we can't, Harry. No, the JSA is our best, maybe our only hope, if only someone would answer. Anyone. We're in New York now, and the local time there is 10:30 p.m., and regular television broadcasting is only a few months old in the United States. And with Saturday night, late news is Libby Lawrence. So she's talking about a national railroad strike that's set to begin the next day. The strike will bring the nation's entire defense efforts to a screeching halt. Meanwhile, in Washington, and the set gets turned off. And someone says, you guys mind if I turn off all the bad news? And they say, it's your penthouse, Wes. And this is Wesley Dodds. And here he is with Johnny Thunder. And they look out the window and they see this huge Viking ship up in the sky. And they're like, well, it's a flying pirate ship. What is this? So it's time for Wesley Dodds to change into the Sandman to have a closer look. Starman's going with him. And so is Johnny Thunder with his Thunderbolt Say You. And they head up. And they realize this ship is empty. All of a sudden, Johnny Thunder gets hit over the head. And then We have Starman and Sandman left to defend themselves by all of these guys that have shown up. And they're holding their own pretty good at first, when all of a sudden the Sky Pirate comes down from a ladder, declares them their prisoners, and fires off this pistol. It's a gas gun. Interestingly enough, Sky Pirate doesn't have anything to cover his mouth, but he's not affected by the gas, while the other two pass out. So we're cutting over to Dr. Fate's tower right now. It's 10:45 p.m. We're in Salem, Massachusetts. There's Inza with him. And he has seen that one of his sworn enemies has now approached. So it's Wotan. And he goes off to battle him. Notice that this Dr. Fate only has his helmet, just to nose level, which is the way it was from at least the way that I recall it being in the Golden Age for Dr. Fate, because there was some type of, he didn't want his whole head like fully immersed in the helmet, or there was something about that. So Wotan and Fate go to battle. The Spectre makes an appearance, and Fate and Spectre end up crashing into each other because of Wotan, knocking each other out. So now we're headed over, and I believe that we're in Asia right now, where a geologist is going to, her and her brother are talking. She's getting ready to go explore this volcano that's shown up. And that's about all the little glimpse we get from that as right now. Over in Gotham City, there's Batman and Robin, of course, and Superman is visiting. And big explosion takes place. And all of a sudden, there's magic that's being used by Professor Zodiac. And he starts taking aim at Batman and Robin, turns them into infants. They start shrinking in their costumes. Superman goes to attack. And of course, kryptonite. So magic and kryptonite, not a good combination for Superman. He's knocked down and he's defeated as well. We're back at our nation's capital. The phone has rung. Once again, we got these shadowy figures, and it's a FBI liaison who is being told to go over to the meeting rooms of the Justice Society, and they say, hey, I'm just a couple miles from there. I can be there under a minute, if I push. So now outside of the Lincoln Memorial, we have Hawkman, Dr. Fate, and the Atom, who are just kind of in awe of the monument there, when all of a sudden they are attacked, jumping out from behind the monster. So he, just starts attacking them. They're not prepared for an attack. They weren't expecting him, didn't see him until he attacked, and instantly takes out Hawkman with a punch. And with a kick, Dr. Mid-Nite's done. Adam holds his own for just a little bit while the other JSAers try to recover a little bit. And as they get a hold, Adam has a hold of him. The guy starts to age up really fast. And the last word that he says before he turns into someone else completely, someone much older, is Degaton. And they're like, who or what is a Degaton? And then he starts glowing. And then looks like he's gone. Bing, bang, boom. And all of this is witnessed by someone in the shadows. So that someone in the shadows not too far from the Washington Monument is headed over to the JSA to see if there really is anyone there. Why isn't anyone answering the phone? And then back at the White House, it is, the witching hour. Bong, bong, bong. It's midnight now. And it is the President of the United States that they've been talking to. And they said, we had hoped to have the JSA with their formidable power standing by to form some sort of an all-star squadron to help out in this emergency, but we don't have them. What are we going to do, Mr. President? And he says, you've read the decoded message, which we learned that the Japanese will deliver to our Secretary of State tomorrow, Harry. It's complete enough for me to know that this means war. And then it's midnight. And he says, well, we are a democracy, a peaceful people, but we have a good record. With God's help, we'll come through this as we come through so much more. And then from delivery trucks all over the Capitol, the next morning's newspapers are being delivered to anxious dealers. Here, national rail strike begins today. But in these first moments of Sunday, December 7th, 1941, a date destined to live in infamy. So it's Pearl Harbor. And that wraps up the preview.
Wonderful story.
Yeah.
Pull mine up here. So, let's see this one. This one.
Yeah, there was a lot of people that liked that was set back then. There weren't a ton of comic books. I mean, like monthly titles, as you know, Joe, that were, because this came out in like what 81, I think, that were set still in World War II. So
Yeah.
take it away, Tony. Here we have I just want to say that cover I think is so awesome. I remember seeing that on the spinner rack. No brainer.
So Roy Thomas came into town at a local convention. I have this first issue. I didn't realize it was him, and I didn't get him to sign it.
Time to go back.
Time to go back. So if I ever see him again, I'm definitely going to get him to sign this. Okay. So here we have Hawkman, and what I have to say right out of the gate is his worst face shield of all time. I don't know why, but every time he talks, I think of Daffy Duck because you can see the little hawk tongue. It just reminds me of Daffy Duck for some reason. But anyway, so Hawkman is flying from Washington, D.C. to New York, Manhattan. And he's going to go into like a designated JSA spot. He's going to attempt to communicate with the JSA. When he lands, he is attacked by some tentacle-like thing. But Hawkman is able to dispatch said potential bad guy, only to realize that it was Plastic Man this whole time. Who's who's hanging out in here, and Hawkman kind of informs him of an attack across all the heroes. And I didn't realize that in your issue they were going to cover each one of these attacks. That's kind of cool. Because in this issue they don't really go into a deep dive of what happened. They just kind of give the gist.
Briefly recap.
Yeah, they do a brief recap. They talk about how Wonder Woman, Flash, and Green Arrow were dispatched in Echo Park by Solomon Grundy. They talk about Batman, Robin, and Superman taken out by what was his name? Professor Zodiac. And I got to pause and say that since this is taking place in 1942, obviously World War II is happening then, and there's a huge pro-military presence and everything in 1942. Captain America fought the Nazis, Superman fought the Nazis, and it's kind of nice to see they continue with that trend. When I say that, I mean like all these heroes or patriots, and like Batman, Superman, and Robin were at the USO, a heavily pro military, pro service member event that they still have today. They have USOs and MWR events everywhere, so kind of nice to see that nod, to me at least. But yeah, they talk about Professor Zodiac. They talk about in Salem, Massachusetts, Dr. Fate and the Spectre being taken care of. They talk about this mysterious flying pirate ship right here in New York City, and they don't know what happened to the heroes that attacked the pirate ship. They just went into the pirate ship and never came out. So that was kind of interesting. They talk about the Hawkman briefs Plastic Man on the person who attacked him in DC, but Plastic Man is, kind of putting two and two together. The Hawkman knows more than what he's telling him, but he was finally came through and told him, like, he glue and he aged. He mentioned a name and just kind of faded away, and that was kind of it. So they decide that they were going to band together and try to bring back some of these heroes. And I love silly team ups. And Plastic Man Hawkman got to be the silliest team up, because Plastic Man wraps himself around Hawkman and says, "Hey, I'll help you catch some wind, pal." And he's this big giant sail, and Hawkman's like, got these wings. It just looks ridiculous, I imagine. But on their way to help out, they're attacked by human insects, and this guy kind of reminds me of Baxter Stockman from the Ninja Turtles. Kind of a nerdy guy, not very big, not very formidable, but relies more on technology, which I thought was pretty funny. So Insect Man here is fighting with Hawkman. Hawkman and Plastic Man waste no time with these guys. And it is interesting, but Insect Man gets a good punch in on Plastic Man, and here we have Plastic Man turning into a giant parachute, bringing down Hawkman to the ground. I thought was so funny, and kind of drop. He hits him. Hawkman hits the ground pretty hard at the end, which I thought was interesting because they talked about how cool it was he turned into a parachute. But anyway, meanwhile we cut back to Washington D.C. We got to FDR, and he's talking about Sunday, December 7th, 1941. You know what I mean? One of America's most tragic days. Pearl Harbor. But then we cut out to I can never remember the name of this guy's horse.
Shining Knight.
Shining Knight. Yeah, Shining Knight. Oh no, is that the name of the horse?
No, Shining Knight's the guy.
Yeah, I was talking about the horse.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. But this is a character that I don't know if you've ever seen Justice League Unlimited, who has his own episode. Him and Crimson Avenger and gosh, I forget the other ones. But anyway, we cut to the Shining Knight and his horse. They land at that same volcano that we ended up in Lasso's issue, and they said, the ground is trembling. Like there's something's up with this volcano. But the Shining Knight's sword can actually cut through the rock, apparently. And as he does, Solomon Grundy comes out. Him, Grundy, and this young lady are, subdued without much issue. And they meet. Allow me to introduce you to first Professor Zodiac, the Alchemist Supreme, Solomon Grundy, whose true origins would amaze you, and even more than his strength. Nor must I forget the Sky Pirate seated to the left of my own throne, and I, Degaton, master of worlds and time. So we get our first reveal of Degaton here, who looks like a really throwback version of Daredevil. And the Alchemist Supreme kind of looks like Doctor Strange. I don't know why. Maybe it's the big cape. I don't know. But they get to meet Degaton. Meanwhile, we cut to Pearl Harbor. And then we have a big panel here about the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor. The sinking of the USS Arizona. The tragedy that happened here. I'm not going to dive deep into what happened at Pearl Harbor for obvious reasons. We cut back to a pro football event where some 27,000 fans are in attendance. And it just goes to show that they have a human side, these heroes. So, but I gotta give it here that even our man is having a good time at the game. He's yelling, "Yay, team!" I gotta imagine they're watching a 49ers game because they're in San Francisco and it's a pro football event. That's my guess. So once we're at the game, they hear Paige, General Brody, please report to his office at once. And our man and his crew decide, you know what, this is our time to leave too. Something just ain't right. So once they get to a phone, they are informed of what's happened. The bombings of Pearl Harbor. It's happening right now. And our man is upset because the Japanese just declared a peace, that they were going to be friends, they weren't going to go to war with each other, and obviously that didn't hold. And then so once they get back into the office, it was like a big trap. And there was another individual in there with them who turns out to be Robot Man, which is pretty cool. So he's able to bust down the door and get everybody out of here. We cut back to Plastic Man and Hawkman. They're arriving in DC along with Liberty Belle and who else? I forget. No, that's the whole crew. And Johnny Quick. That's right, Johnny Quick.
And that's Dr. Mid-Nite.
Dr. Mid-Nite. What did I say?
Our Man.
Oh yeah, Dr. Mid-Nite. Our Man.
Yep.
I'm sorry. Dr. Mid-Nite. Yes. They arrive with the Atom at the White House in the Oval Office, and there we have our. I'm curious if this is the first appearance of FDR in DC Comics. Has he appeared before? I don't know.
He was at the end of my issue.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, the president is briefing them on Pearl Harbor, and what could be going on. There's a line here I thought that was funny. Liberty Belle informs the president, like, hey, you can call me Liberty Belle. I imagine her having a little bit of sass when it comes to it, but yeah, so they're off to catch the quote saboteurs. And then we cut to the Golden Gate Bridge, where it's clear that Degaton is working with the Japanese because he is in a submarine inside of the harbor, and he's telling that the Golden Knight, like, listen, America has never been attacked by this before, and this is part of my plan where I'm going to conquer the world and time as well, which leads us at a cliffhanger. And the title for our next episode is Battle of San Francisco.
Yeah.
And you can see there's some Japanese Zeros attacking San Francisco. So that's pretty interesting.
Yeah. So, of course, we've featured Per Degaton in the retro review in the past before, too. A couple things just to add in, just to round out the two stories that we talked about tonight. The reason that Green Lantern didn't recognize Solomon Grundy and some of these other villains, they were pulled from time, from different stages of time, because at this time that it took place, Green Lantern never would have met Solomon Grundy. He didn't know him yet. He was pulled from a different time and brought back. But Grundy knew him, but that Green Lantern didn't know him because of the time. And I said I wanted to talk about the race that was going on. And let me bring up maybe a little visual here. Excuse me as I type in. So here we have, the three superheroes at the beginning of the story. They were doing a big race. And that is an homage to a very famous cover that I want to show right now. So their Comics Cavalcade was a Golden Age comic book. And this was issue number 1. But in the story, Green Lantern, Flash, and Wonder Woman never race in the story. So Roy Thomas kind of did this as an homage to what would have brought the three of them together to do some type of a race or something. That's how we kind of homage this comic book cover and kind of give it an explanation why they race, since it never was explained in that first issue.
Very cool. Yeah, I didn't know that.
And I'll go on the record to say that I would love to own a comic cavalcade someday. Oh, I'd love to own one. And I actually earlier this year saw some in the wild. They just weren't in the budget that I wanted it to be. But man, someday that would be awesome. I want to talk about,
like that go for?
Even in really low grade, a couple hundred, So I saw 2 issues at a comic store not too far from here. And one of the issues wasn't even on eBay. Like, there were no previous sales on it. There were no current listings on it. You just don't see them all that time. I don't want to forget to say hello to Crazy Hungarian, who's very happy that we're doing All Star Squadron tonight. So thanks. And then also in your story, Tony, the president has kind of decided, Roosevelt's decided that, well, the JSA is gone. what remains of the JSA that he has there need to recruit every type of superpower hero that they can to form this all-star squadron type to be able to defend the United States, because they don't know if a land attack is imminent or not. So that's kind of how the name came about. So that's a little bit of the difference between the JSA and the All-Star Squadron. So All-Star Squadron, All-Star Squadron to me is kind of like Justice Society Unlimited, maybe. That's a good way to refer to them at. So thank you. So grades out of a 10 scale, and your thoughts on these two issues that we reviewed. Were you mad at me for giving you that issue, which definitely was a meatier issue to read?
No, it's fine. I don't have a whole lot of experience with the All-Star Squadron, so this was a good one for me. But out of 10, I'm going to give it a 6.5.
Okay. I liked my story a little bit better than yours, probably because mine had more Wonder Woman than yours had.
Yeah.
But I hadn't read either one in a long time. I liked the covers, the mock cover and the real cover for issue 1 a lot. I think they're both solid. I'm gonna go like 7.5 out of 10. I think it was a good. As I was reading it, it kept my interest. So, and of course, here we are. Yesterday would have been the anniversary of Pearl Harbor. So here we are tying that story together in a relative time frame, I should say.
How appropriate.
How appropriate. It's like it was planned. Because
it's like you planned it.
Because it was. So, yeah, that's our retro review of All-Star Squadron. I own every issue of All-Star Squadron. And for those that are wondering how long that lasted, and trust me, Crisis on Infinite Earths really hurt that series because there was no multiverse anymore after Crisis. And here all these characters are in 1941, World War II,
Yeah.
But there were, I'm just looking to refresh my notes, 67 issues of All-Star Squadron and 3 annuals.
Very unique. Okay.
And that
went on a long time.
Yeah, that ecologist that you saw that was going to look at the volcano, she turns out to be Firebrand, a character that they introduced later on. Her brother previously was Firebrand, and then she becomes the new Firebrand in a few issues. So just
another character that we've never really talked about.
Yeah, not a whole lot. We really hadn't spent that much time and attention. So, but I'll ask you, Tony, if you were if you were Adam Hawkman or Dr. Mid-Nite, and you were picking out the photos to put your team together, who's the number one person you would have picked for your team? Which superhero?
Spectre.
Really?
Spectre. Yeah. Hands down.
Mine's Superman.
Spectre. I mean,
Spectre. I just met her.
Yeah, I would say Spectre because anticipating that I'm getting a modern Spectre, who's basically omnipotent, can do anything, which would be great. The Spectre and Dr. Fate, my 2 big time recruits.
Okay.
But yeah, Spectre and Dr. Fate.
Okay. Yeah, mine would have been Superman. So,
what about your number 2 pick?
Wonder Woman.
Duh. I thought Wonder would have been your first pick.
No, it was Superman, because if I'm putting that team together, at that time, power-wise, he's, I think, numero uno.
Yeah, I think, at that time, I think, Superman is number 1.
You got to make the wise pick.
I think I did with Spectre.
Okay. No problems, no disagreements there. So that brings us to the point in our show where we do the book show and talk about what's coming up on our channels. I also will mention, too, that when we're done with our book show, if you want to do a virtual book show, you can share a cover with us on Instagram. Just use the hashtag FanboysLive and the Retro Review in your posting so we can make sure that we see it, too, because those are always fun to look at. I posted the cover to All-Star Squadron on my Instagram yesterday to tie in with Pearl Harbor Day, the anniversary of it. So, but anyway, Tony, Signature King. Oh, Rod stopped by. Rican Comics and Collectibles. Don't forget that Rod has a new channel as well, Hot Rod's Garage. So that's cool. Anyway, Tony, what's going on with your channel, and what would you like to do as a book show?
Coming on my channel. It's the end of the year, so I'm winding down on some content to spend the rest of the year with the family and the kids, and just enjoying the holiday with friends and family. So I don't have a whole lot planned. I do have an updated room tour coming out in January of 2025. But that's really it. Just some shorts and some of the big stuff's gonna wait till the beginning of the year. I didn't know what to pull for a book show. I really didn't, because I don't really have anything All-Star Squadron related.
Mhm.
But I do have is some Roy Thomas.
Sure.
And I have Shazam, The New Beginning, signed by Roy Thomas and Thomas Mandrake. I have this in a CBCS 7. I also have it in a CBCS 7.5.
Nice.
I have the direct and the newsstand edition. That is the only difference other than the grade. But they're both signed by Roy Thomas and Thomas Mandrake. Funny story. So when I gave him these two books to sign, he's like, big Shazam guy. Like, oh yeah, I love Shazam. He's like, oh yeah, he's a great character. Had fun writing him. But in his words, he did not like this story. He didn't think it was his best. He said he wished DC gave him more than 4 issues to tell the story.
Yeah. Sometimes it's hard to tell a story that you want to tell in 4 issues, especially back then. So.
Oh, for sure.
But then on the flip side too, there's some stories that are just single issue stories that are great.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that either.
Yeah, no, nothing at all.
Yeah.
So that's my tie to All-Star Squadron, Roy Thomas.
Okay, sounds good. So as I talk about my book show and my channel, first with my channel, I got a brand new subscriber during the show, which is Crazy Hungarian. So thank you for subscribing to my channel. Don't forget to subscribe to the Signature King as well. There he is. He's over there.
Somewhere over here.
Yeah, but in the links, the description for this video are links to us and the other fanboys who are not present as well. So on my channel already, I did a Blue Devil back issue of the week YouTube short. So that's currently on the channel. My comic book editions video from this past week was a spectacular spider haul. So I'm working on volume 1 to some extent, to a certain number of Peter Parker, the Spectacular Spider-Man. So I added some more into my collection from there and kind of give you an update on how that's going. So that's on my channel already. Another DC Comics back issue of the week will drop tomorrow morning. That short will hit mid to late morning Central Time. And then on Tuesday, my comic book editions video will be an A-OK unboxing from Silver-Haired Bronze Age Babe Comics, our newest fanboy or fangirl or fan person or super fan or whatever you want to call her, just call her. And she sent me an A-OK that I was not expecting at all. And I will give you a hint and tell you there's a slab in it. So that unboxing will hit Tuesday afternoon on my channel. So that's what's going on with my channel. Now, Tony, earlier on, I said I picked a book show that was, and this is the truth, I picked 3 things to share in the book show, and all of them are for you.
Okay.
And
you know if you need my address.
Well, I mean, they were picked on your behalf. So
okay, sure.
I'm doing it this way because I for the reaction. So I said I had the full run of All-Star Squadron. I pulled out 3 issues that I thought hit your wheelhouse, okay? Is this not a cool cover?
Wow, yeah. That is nice.
Yeah. Now see, you could get this one and get Roy Thomas to sign this one.
Yeah, what issue's at 36?
37.
Says?
Oh,
37.
sorry, 36.
Oh,
I think it'd be great if he signed like right inside the lasso there.
There you go.
That's a great place to sign.
That is a nice one.
So
a nice cover too. I like it.
That reminds me of that Justice League issue with Superman and Shazam fighting.
Oh,
remember that one? Yeah. And
I
then
have that one.
The next issue, 37, I pulled for you.
Oh, they even brought in Freddie.
Yeah.
Mary. I like it.
So I thought you'd
I've
like
never seen that one before. Yeah.
Okay. And then one more that I picked as a book show with you in mind tonight.
Shazam. Love it. That's issue. I can't even read it.
52.
52?
Yep.
52? Yeah, there it is.
So even Shazam was part of the All-Star Squadron series at one
Very
point.
Cool. Very cool.
Then
Captain, is this still set in the 40s?
Yes.
Oh, so he's Captain Marvel technically.
Yeah, he's Captain Marvel technically.
But I
But that
think
would
they
be a
had
bad one. None of these would be bad ones to get signed.
no. I like it. I like them all.
And these are very inexpensive books too. I mean, we're talking like dollar bin type books.
Yeah, that's nice. I like those.
Yeah, pick them up just for you, big guy.
Hey, and then I showed some Shazam books. Like,
yeah,
it's like we planned it.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. I like it. Those are some nice issues.
Yeah. Anything else you want to talk about before we wrap up the greatest DC comic show on YouTube?
No. We're winding down the holidays, so
we're going to have one more episode for this year next week.
Yeah, and then we'll take a break for the end of the year.
Yeah, and a little bit into the new year. Take probably a month-ish break or so.
Sure. Definitely. Again, for those of you who aren't subscribed, not only to us, but to each other in the chat. Lots of good people have great channels in here.
Yeah, that's true.
So make sure you're subbing each other up for sure. Because that's how we grow as a community. We sub each other up.
Yep, absolutely. This has been the greatest DC comic show on YouTube, Fanboys Live and the Retro Review. We hope you have a fantastic, safe, and successful week, and we'll see you next week. Bye.